Nonprofit and philanthropic leaders devote their lives to the service of others, but sometimes they need a little help. Kristine Michie has been deep in the work and the play of helping changemakers grow their impact for decades. So whether you're ladling soup at a local shelter or attending a UN peace conference, you need to find the balance between the heavy work and a light touch so you don't burn out. And Kristine believes play is at the center of that. Welcome to the PlayFull Podcast, bringing fun to the serious work of changing the world.
Everybody, welcome back to the PlayFull Podcast. We are bringing fun to the serious work of changing the world once again, and we are in our local civic actors series. And so what we're talking to, who we're talking to are folks that are working on big issues at the local level. And who better than Bob Dalton, who's joining us today, who has recently started a platform and an app called LOCL, LOCL, but is also a global philanthropist, entrepreneur, businessman, so much to share, and we're so glad you're here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I heard you on another podcast, and you said, and of course, I had this on my mind, this series around local civic action, and you said, I think, to paraphrase, you want to devote the rest of your life to local. And I don't think you mean your app per se, but you mean to the movement around local action, local activism, local community. How did that become your thing?
Yeah, so it really started when I started my first company, Sackcloth and Ashes, back in 2014, 11 years ago now. And at the time, I was 24 years old, and my mom was going through a series of events and ended up living on the streets, and completely changed my whole paradigm and understanding of homelessness. And I started calling homeless shelters to see what they needed, and they said blankets. So I was like, all right, I'm going to sell a blanket and donate a blanket to a shelter. And at the time, Tom's had been around and a couple other one-for-one models, and they were sending products overseas and kind of getting some like negative headlines at the time of like they were taking job opportunities away from like communities over international. And I was like, man, I really love the one-for-one model. How can we keep it, but just kind of reinvent the way that it's being done and focus more on the issues right here in our own backyard? And so that's when I evolved the one-for-one model to local. So for every blanket that we sell, we donate a blanket to your local homeless shelter. And so that's where the concept of like local giving back kind of came into play into my story. And as Sackcloth started to grow, the company's called Sackcloth and Ashes, which means mourning and repentance. And the concept of it was every time somebody wraps themselves in a blanket, it symbolizes mourning over the homeless population and repentance by contributing to a shelter in your area. But as the company started to grow, I started doing blanket drops at homeless shelters and programs and visiting. I went to over 60 plus cities in a couple of years and got to pass out blankets in person at these shelters and learn about their work and their, the solutions that they're creating to help the homeless issue all around the United States. And their approaches to solving this issue was significantly different based off of their geographic location or, there's just so many factors of like, how do you approach an issue when you have a different size city or a completely different people group or a different cause to homelessness. Homelessness is really not an issue. It's a result of a lot of different types of issues. And so that's when I started to pick up on like this type of issue is so complex in the States. It can't be solved top down. It has to be approached on a local strategic level. And so I started diving deeper into that and started studying the philosophy of localism, which I found there's not a lot of information on the internet, not a lot online. There was not a lot of YouTube videos. And that started to intrigue me because I was like, you have individualism, which has been culturally accepted and embraced. And then you have localism, and then you have nationalism and globalism. And in my opinion, localism should be at the forefront of our conversation, and it's not even a part of the conversation at all. And that's when I decided the rest of my career, the rest of my life, I want to dedicate it to helping reintegrate localism back into modern society. And that's where I kind of arrived at local becoming my message and my mission.
Wow. Okay. So many things from there. Do you call yourself a localist? Is that a thing?
I personally don't, but I think that it makes sense as a somebody who's locally focused,
Yeah.
a localist at heart. Yeah.
I'm fantastic. I want to ask you on the one for one model, as you mentioned, I feel like, and it wasn't until you said it that I realized that's my understanding too. I think of it as a international thing. Is that because the systems are set up to bulk up a bunch of stuff and ship it overseas? And while that seems like that would be more complicated, it's actually more complicated to do it at the local level?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, probably it's more complicated. I think it just had to do with not necessarily like which one's easier as much as like which one was what was it being motivated from?
Mm,
So Blake, who started Tom's, he was motivated to help kids internationally because he had visited countries and saw that kids weren't wearing shoes. And he was like, that's a problem. I want to help with that.
yeah,
And so it really just came out of like the motivation, like where's the issue stemming from that you're setting out to solve.
yeah.
But yeah, it is relatively complex. I had to partner with entire networks of homeless shelters in the United States. At the time, it was called the Association of Rescue Gospel Missions, and they had probably the best database of homeless shelters in the US. So I partnered up with them, got to, utilize their database of shelters, and then over time continue to add shelters and programs to that list. So I would say Sackcloth has probably one of the most robust databases of homeless shelters in the United States for sure. Um, and for you to buy a blanket and then for us to flag that to donate to your local shelter based on zip code, it is pretty complex for sure. It's taken years to figure out how to do that effectively.
Fantastic. It's reminding me of bookshop.org. If you buy a book on their online bookstore, then based on your zip code, they make a contribution to independent bookstore in your community. Similar. Let's say a little bit about sackcloth. I mean, I got to tell you, when I was listening to, as I mentioned, listening to you on that other podcast, I think I told you I was walking along and I was out on a walk on a Sunday afternoon. And I was like listening, and then I'm ordering a blanket, and I'm like, I got all excited. Sackcloth is special too. It is, of course, a for-profit company with a product for sale. These beautiful blankets, but there's also a social enterprise. In addition to the giving blankets away, I think you're working with local craftsmen and local artisans, and you've got the sourcing of your materials in these blankets is also part of your mission. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's the fun thing about building a company from the ground up is you get to look at every aspect of the company and ask the question, how can we make an impact in this realm? And so when it came to making the product, we found a great community of people in Italy, right outside of Florence, that used to make like 80% of the fabric in the world at one point. And so they have all these like old mills and, jacquard looms and, entire family operations that have been passed down for generations. And the blankets start with recycled materials, uh, with sweatshirts and t-shirts. They get imported in and then they get sorted based off of color in this giant warehouse. And then that's one company, and then that company ends up trucking the fabric to the next company, which ends up grinding up the fabric and going through a carding process to shred it all up, and then that goes to another company that ends up taking that shredded fabric and turning it into yarn. And so there's like 7 to 8 companies that end up touching one blanket that goes through this process of developing a really beautiful blanket from the scraps of fabrics.
Love it. Okay, but Bob, as great as all that is, that just you had an itch you needed to scratch. That wasn't enough for you. So how did you decide to start something new on top of? Because I don't think you've given up sackcloth, but now you've added on local. Tell us about it and its mission. What's its sort of? Is it a nonprofit organization? Is it a for-profit? I joined since we had our preliminary phone call, and I was just getting ready to post my first thing. I want to talk to you a little bit about my user experience that I've been having with it. But how is it that you decided, okay, I'm ready for my next? You seem to be entrepreneurial by spirit, so I'm not surprised. But why this and why now?
Yeah, it's a for-profit company. I'm not a serial entrepreneur. This is my second company. And I'm very mission driven, obviously, and only really want to dedicate my life to work that I feel like matters to me and how I can truly make an impact. And so, when I started a deep dive in localism and realizing like that is going to be the thing that I want to give keynote messages on and really integrate into my work moving forward in a deeper way. Providing blankets to shelters is great. It's admirable. It's a good thing, but it's not moving the needle when it comes to bringing localism to the forefront of our conversations as a nation. And communication, societies live and die on communication. And when I started to study the local digital landscape, we have Nextdoor, which pockets people in the neighborhoods. We have Meetup, which hasn't innovated in the last like 5 years. You either have like event apps that are, siloed to communication, or you have communication platforms that are just kind of cheesy and ineffective. Dating apps are local; those have been effective. And then messaging apps, GroupMe, WhatsApp, iMessage. So when I started hitting up all my community builder friends all over the nation and was like, hey, what are you guys using? They're like, we're using email, WhatsApp, and text threads with 40 people in them. And I'm like, man, we have drastically failed community builders in the era of content creators. In my opinion, community will be more important than content in this next 10 years. And because of that, community builders will be the new influencers. And so when I looked at the next 10 years and the vision that, I had was like, we have not provided the right platform for local community builders. And I think that they're going to be the actual influencers of this next 10 years. So what Instagram did a great job of in the early stages was they were like, we're not just going to be an app for photos and videos. We're going to be the platform, the resources, the conferences for content creators. They're going to be the influencers. And they were really successful at that. I want local to be the platform, the resources, the conferences for local community builders. So the product itself, I designed out a year ago. And the concept of it is you can create or join any community on the app, and it's discoverable to everyone within a 50-mile radius. So we've had a lot just in the last couple months since we've been on the App Store. We've had a couple thousand people on the app. We've had over 400 community. And we've seen the case studies of somebody starting a community. And if there's enough people in that city, communities end up doubling or tripling in size with no promotion. Because people just want to be a part of a community that they may not have been familiar with. We've had somebody start a chess community in Fargo, North Dakota, and then all of a sudden there's 20 people in that chess community, and now they're meeting up every week playing chess. Or there's nonprofits that come onto the platform, or churches, or run clubs, or all these micro communities and pro social clubs. They don't have a digital home, and that's been a problem. So they've been jimmy rigging Slack or WhatsApp, but it's not helping bring exposure to the building their community. So yeah, that's the goal with local, is to truly be a local social network and tight weave communication through a community network.
So, so for those who maybe have participated in like Facebook groups or Meetup and things like that, what's the distinction or value proposition or difference that local has, and why would you say, check it out, prioritize it or preference it, or at least check it out? What is local? What makes it special? I think there's also a little sense of it's not kind of connected to the big metaverse, right?
Yeah, it's not a global platform. So it's there can be people from all around the world on it, but it's very built for your local area. And yeah, the two differentiators I would say are first and foremost, discoverability. Like if you're going to build community in this next season, there will not be a better platform to build your community than on local, because it's discoverable to everyone in your city. You can invite people in through a link, but you're also going to get all this organic free exposure. And so that's first and foremost. Like when you have a Facebook group or a group on Mighty Networks or WhatsApp or whatever, your community is siloed. It's invite only at that point. Not really discoverable to people that might actually be interested in the community that you're building. And that's been a big problem in the digital space right now. It's like everyone's starting their own apps or starting their own communities on all these platforms, but they're siloed. they're not discoverable. Local, every community, if it's public, it's discoverable to everyone in a 50-mile radius. So it's a great opportunity for free exposure to people that would actually get involved. Um, so that's number one. Number two is we just released our home feed, and your home feed is a curation of posts from the communities that you've joined.
Okay.
So any post that's being posted in the communities that you're a part of will show up on your home feed and say, Susie posted in this community and John posted in this community. And your feed is a curation of posts based off of the posts that are being posted in the communities that you've chosen to join. So you're not getting all this unnecessary noise from people that you don't know or you don't care about and people bitching and complaining. It's like you're literally getting updates from things that you're actually plugged into and you want to be updated on. And that matters because we don't have advertising on the platform.
Yeah.
When you post in a digital community, you're posting directly to your people. You're not battling the digital noise. So there's a lot of benefits. It streamlines communication for your community and it helps your community get the awareness that it deserves.
What kind of content moderation are you guys doing or anticipate that you might need to do?
Well, the nice thing about the whole platform being digital communities and not a global feed is the entire platform is self-governed.
Mm.
Like every community has leaders and moderators. So my company will never step in and be like, you're not allowed to say that. It's like that's really up to the leader and the moderators. We're giving autonomy to leaders and moderators to run their communities however they want to run them, just like in real life. I'm not going to go in and tell a real community how to run their community. And if you have somebody coming into your community in real life and starting to yell or cause problems, you have the ability to say, hey, you're not welcome here.
Yeah.
You can do that in real life. Um, if you're a part of a community and you're like, I don't like what this community is about, you can leave that community and join thousands of other communities or start your own. So local is probably the closest, if not the closest, of being a digital extension of real life.
Mm.
And we don't have that on global platforms. You have a lot of people functioning under alias accounts or being able to feel like they could say whatever they want because they're not seeing people on those platforms as people. They're seeing them as, just another name.
Yeah.
They don't care. There's no accountability to that. When
Yeah.
you're functioning in a local community network, there's some accountability there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe the difference of feeling on the other platforms that you maybe have an audience, but you don't have engagement. And you're never going to get to know those people, right?
Yeah.
Most likely. Now, I got to tell you, I like kind of bummed, embarrassed to say, but so I joined 4 or 5 communities, when I signed up this last week, and I'm noticing, and I'm like super gregarious. I'm a doer. I'm a joiner. I love to get out and do stuff, but I notice a little hesitation to actually picture that I'm going to go get in my car or walk over and meet some people that I've never met before. And I'm really surprised at myself, Bob. I would have thought, I think it'll be that breaking the ice, just getting back in the habit of doing that. But I can see that even someone like me, who I would describe myself as just the perfect customer for this, as I'm starting to think, well, which is the first thing I'm going to go to, that's going to be a bit of a breaking the ice for me from some more recent behavior that is maybe actually out of character for my real self, but I've just gotten used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really fun for me personally because it's like I just had coffee the last 2 days with people that I've met on local. And it gets more fun when certain communities start to pop up on the platform in your area that are things that you're really passionate about or that you're interested in. And it might be a community that you start and then you're like, I don't really know anybody, but all of a sudden that community starts to populate because other people are like, oh, I'm interested in that too. Um, and so I joined like a local community that has a lot of conversations around AI and the future of AI and stuff like that. And we're all geeking out and talking about the latest tools and everything. And then the guy who started that here in San Diego, I was like, hey, you want to grab coffee? And we ended up grabbing coffee and he was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's cool. Like I've been actually already like in the beta phase of local, I've been already meeting up for coffee with people that I never would have been connected with otherwise, around things that I'm also interested in and passionate about. And so, yeah, I can't wait for the day that, there's a couple million people in San Diego that are on local and I'm a part of all these different communities that I'm genuinely the design community, a basketball community,
Yeah.
my wife would say dog mom community,
Yeah.
um, and being able to get connected with people that you never thought, you'd be connected to, but now you're sharing in a similar interest.
Yeah. So I don't remember, and if I did, shame on me, but I don't remember paying any money for anything when I joined the other day. Did I?
No. Uh,
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the business model?
Yeah, we had to decide that early on, because there's only three ways you can really make money as a social network. You can take corporate advertising money, which I've basically made an oath that I never will do. Just because when you start to take money from corporations, you end up starting making decisions based off of corporate interest, not the interest of the people. So that wasn't an option for me.
Yeah.
The second way you can make money is subscription, and I wanted to keep the platform free for the people. The only subscription model that we might go is allowing community builders to upgrade their
Mm,
community to Community Plus and offer additional features and data and analytics to those community leaders about their community,
mm.
so they can better lead, and offer like customization to their community and even better discoverability for their community. So like a built-in SEO. So there's a lot of things we can bring value to community builders as the platform grows through Community Plus. And then the way that we're going to make money and the route that we're really choosing to go is, as a social network, you can make money on financial transaction.
Mm,
And so we're going to launch events on the platform here in the next like 2 months. So any individual or community can create an event,
mm.
and it will be, really beautiful interface and really seamless to create an event. You can add it to your community and it notifies all your members in your community. Um, and then you can stay connected to everyone that attended your event through a digital community on local. And there's two big problems with event platforms now. You have to figure out how to promote your event. So you're creating an Eventbrite link or a Luma link
Yeah.
and you're blasting it out to everyone on email or social, and you're like, God only knows who's going to see this. And then the second problem with events is you gather everyone and then everyone's like exchanging LinkedIn's or throwing notes and phones or doing the phone
Yeah.
bump. And then everyone's like, well, I'll see you at the next event. And there's no local will exist for the in between. It's,
Mm.
well, from the moment that you host an event to the next event you host, your community can stay connected really effectively on local. So every event ticket sold on the platform will take a small transaction fee. And then as we scale from there, we'll let any individual or community list themselves under services. So you'll be able to book any service in your city. And as we scale from there, I'll let any individual or community add products to their profiles, and you're going to be able to buy any product in your city. And they can list their products under Shop Local. So, as the platform really starts to scale, you hear a lot of people like, yeah, the only reason why I'm still on Facebook is because of Marketplace.
Hmm.
And there's not any other options for
Yeah.
that local marketplace. And so, for us, we'll have Shop Local, and we'll make a pretty good run in local commerce and create a really effective, um, beautiful marketplace where you can shop any product from any community or individual in your city. So when you have that much financial transaction going on, donations to nonprofits, events and services being booked, products being purchased, all within a 50-mile radius, you've transformed local economies. And so we're starting as a communication platform and we'll evolve into a fintech product and be extremely valuable for not just communication, but the local economy of things.
I love it. So my daughter and son-in-law live on Vashon Island, which is a little island across the water, across the sound from Seattle. It's like a 15-minute ferry ride from downtown Seattle, but it's an island. And Bob, I got to tell you my experience. They've only lived there since December, and I think the nature of an island might make this so. It is a really tight knit community. There's 11,000 people that live on the island. Now, Seattle is literally 15 minutes away. If there was land in between, it would just be a suburb. But because there's water in between and there's no bridge, the people who live on the island are very kind of proud of and connected to that. Well, my daughter is going to have a baby, and they are getting like everything they need, it seems, from these like buy no new things movement and Facebook Marketplace. And they're just like, she's like, she'll be on the island. She's like, oh my guys, I'm meeting somebody to get some free stuff. And she's finding out about this because they're all connected. They're all local. And they're making use of available tools, but they have the benefit they have is that they have a very limited geographic
Mhm.
by definition with the island space. But this sounds like it could, first of all, serve them well, but also could create almost that sense. If you take about a 50-mile radius, you almost create your community, right, in the middle of a big city,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and the goal with local is like if you zoom out on a map, you'll see all these micro communities all over the world that are
Yeah.
starting up on the platform. And then it creates opportunity for financial exchange to happen in a way that's actually
Yeah.
valuable to the people. Right now, when it's only corporate advertising, the people become the product and we end up getting monetized based off of our attention. And that's why they're so adamant about getting us addicted to their products.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about play and fun. I'm gonna one question before we get our ice cream, and then a few more after we get it
Love it.
about that. Seems to me that having fun is going to be an important part of what's going to make these gathering successful, which will then make the platform successful and the app beloved. Tell me about the fun. It sounds like you already even you got a twinkle in your eye when you tell me about having a couple coffees this week. But tell me about how important play, fun, joy is to your experience with and your vision for local.
Yeah, I think that you really tap into somebody's joy when you tap into the nerdiness part of who they are. I think everybody has a little bit of like a nerdy side of them where we all kind of geek out on like that one thing that we're really excited about. And you get people talking about that one thing and you kind of see a new
Mm.
side of them and you're like, oh wow, like you kind of had some walls up with someone and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden they get
yeah.
you talking about your thing that you're like really passionate about and it opens up these new
Ah,
doors. And I think that that's what excites me a lot about what this has the potential to become is like I'm not just meeting randomly with a guy for coffee. Like we're meeting about something that we're both like able to geek out on and talk about that we're really passionate about. And I think connecting people in interests is going to be really fun. Whether that's sports or a fan group or a religious community or something in tech, it's like everyone's got their little nerdy side to them, and it's figuring out what they already know what that is for them, but if they can find their people, then it's going to make it really fun. My favorite communities to be in local so far only have like 8 to 10 people in them.
mm,
And so it's not like you need to be in these like monumental, huge communities. In fact, that kind of waters it down and becomes micro versions of social media.
mm.
The ones that have like 10 people around something that you're all really passionate about, like it's fun. There's a lot to talk about, a lot more to talk about.
Oh, I love it. Okay, go grab your ice cream. And I'm going to give a shout out to Harker Brothers, folks, to Harker Brothers, based in Baltimore, a social enterprise, employee owned ice cream company. Many of you have heard me say that many times, but for some of you, that's new news. And they ship nationwide. I'm going to have Bob tell you about ice cream delivery. It's quite fun. It's quite joyful. And it is, it turns into a local experience. So you find Taharka Brothers online, TAHARKA, taharkabros.com. And you will, the ice cream is fantastic. And it comes, as he's going to tell you, in a really fun package. And it is, okay, Bob's back. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Have you had it yet?
I've had a little bit, yeah.
It's so good, right? That's everybody's favorite. Okay, so Bob chose honey graham, which is, I would say, the unscientific survey is the number one ice cream on the podcast. Tell me about, were you home when the box arrived?
Okay, I wasn't home. My wife's like, what do
What is
who sent
this?
you 6 things of ice cream, And I was like, oh my God, I'm going on this podcast where we get to eat ice cream together. And so yes, we've had a little samplers of all of them,
Yes.
We weren't sure if we were allowed to, but I told her, I was like, I'm not gonna eat 6 cartons of ice cream on the pod. Maybe we should try each. Um,
Absolutely.
but I have a special guest on the podcast that I want to
Oh, oh,
introduce.
please.
And let me see, hold on.
Okay, Bob's on mute. Okay, now
Oh, so
here comes
my
somebody.
so my dog, that
Oh,
my dog eats ice creams as well.
oh, yes. Okay. Oh, this is the first dog on the podcast.
Yes. Okay. So
Oh,
this is
look at him.
Kyra, and she loves ice creams.
Oh,
And you give her,
this is so good.
she she takes her little ice cream and she goes and eats it. So
Bob, thank you for that. Say her name again. I didn't catch it.
Kyra,
Tyra, oh my God. Okay, so good. Tyra's having her ice cream too. All right, so you chose honey graham, which has this amazing, everyone's heard me say it, and so does what I chose. I chose, now this one is a new flavor, and so it doesn't even have its full packaging. And this is key lime pie. Similarly, of course, because key lime pie has graham cracker crust, but the ice cream is like lime flavored with graham cracker crust.
So
And,
good.
and
It's amazing. It's amazing. My wife was saying the other night, she was like, this is some of the best ice cream I've ever had. It is so good.
I totally agree. It is, and I tell people that in advance, and it's not just because they're my sponsor, but it's unbelievable. And every single.
Can we dig it? Are we good?
Yeah, no, we're eating it. Don't worry about chewing sounds, crunchy sounds. It's part of it. This one is even dairy free, which I've had about maybe 20% of my guests have preferred or needed dairy free, and no substitute, no. It's a substitute, and it's not any less delicious.
They have graham crackers in this. It's
Okay,
so
check it out.
good.
Watch right when you have that, you're gonna be like,
Mm.
right? It's so good, you guys. Okay, so now you on the other podcast, you referenced your mom a little bit at the beginning of our conversation, and in the other podcast, I heard you talk, additionally about her. And when we eat ice cream, I often ask, "What's the scoop on how you came to care?"
Mm.
What was it, a memory where you're like, the world was bigger than just you and your family, or even maybe just the folks on your block? And, for what you described, and I think you'll tell us more, for those challenges that befell your mom and your family, you could have turned inward, right? You didn't have to turn outward. And it sounds like you turned outward. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, a couple things. From a really young age, I've always felt I wasn't alone.
Mm.
And I really felt like a spiritual connection with God. And I'd stand out at like my bus stop, and be by myself and be like, I feel like I'm not alone right now.
Oh.
And so from early on, I really understood that whatever's happening in this crazy experiment of life, like there's something bigger happening in my life, And so by like my sophomore year in high school, I had become a Christian and dedicated my life to Christ. And my person that was kind of mentoring, discipling me was somebody that he was the first male figure in my life that I looked at. I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm older. And he loved God. He served his community. He had loved his family, and that was the first time I was like, I want to be like that. And so from that point on, I really took an interest of like, I always thought I was going to be a pastor or go into nonprofit ministry type stuff. And then here we are, 12 years into business. So business was never even on my radar of like starting a company or doing anything like that. So I got to blend both of those worlds of like wanting to kind of dedicate my life to service and then getting into business and being like, how can we kind of reinvent some things that are being done in capitalism and do good through business?
Yeah, love it. And it sounds like when you were talking, you went from talking about starting your company at the young age of 24 and having your one-for-one, giveaway model almost simultaneously. Is that true? Is that true from the beginning with the company?
Yeah, that was day one.
Like if you were going to do it, that was going to be the way.
Yeah, I mean, I drove down to Joann Fabrics, bought a sewing machine and a roll of fabric, and every blanket that I sold, I drove down to the local shelter and donated the blankets in my trunk. So from day one.
Now, who taught you to sew? You teach yourself?
I took sewing lessons. I'm horrible. And so I ended up hiring a local seamstress named Tammy.
I
And
love it.
Tammy started making blankets for me. I think I made half of a blanket. I still have it.
Okay, so speaking of that, now I'm gonna bring a couple things together. Mentioning my daughter who lives on the island, Vashon Island. She's about to have a baby in a few weeks. When I found I was going to be a grandma, this will be my first. I bought a sewing machine because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a grandma. I got to sew. I want to be a grandma who sews. I haven't sewn since 8th grade when I made a pair of like drawstring pants and home ec class, which we had back in the 70s. so I went on Etsy and it had to be organic cotton. And so like I Googled, or in Etsy, I put, DIY organic cotton quilt, and a woman connected with me and sent me organic quilt, like squares with batting. And I made this quilt. So I've made a quilt. But I'm thinking now, talking about nerdiness and tapping into nerdiness and getting joy out of it, I'm thinking I could start. Okay, first of all, I'm sure there's sewing groups that I could find on local. I could also start a first time sewer group. Like I'm new to it. I could start a first time grandma group. I could find a out of town grandma group, because I'm going to be an out of town grandma. So like, I'd love to learn from other grandmothers how they stay close to their grandkids when they don't get to see them all the time. And Bob, when you said that about tap into nerdiness, I thought that's such a great point. When I'm really, for example, I love to play cards, and not everybody does. In fact, my husband doesn't really care to play cards. So I have to find people that want to play cards. And when I get to play cards, I get so excited. But when I'm with people who don't play cards, I kind of keep that part of myself kind of quiet, because they're not going to get all excited. So I see what you're saying about that. And I wouldn't have to like be sorry whether it's sewing or quilts or chess or cards. When I'm with other people, it would just be that would be the baseline. We all think that's fun. We all think that's great.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yeah. So, and then before we came on together, I was starting to compose my first post that I'm going to put in the cause community that I saw on the platform about an event I went to on Sunday around homelessness. It was a community event. You folks were both in Southern California, in North County, San Diego, and there's a town here called Encinitas, and there was a summit at the Encinitas Community Center about looking for solutions to affordable housing and homelessness. And so I'm going to post that on there. I'm going to give that a try.
Love it.
Tell me about the cause conference.
Yeah.
That I saw some posting about, that I know you were a part of, which I think was a local thing, but also is part of a national movement.
No, I think that I recently asked them about this. I think it's only a local thing.
Oh, interesting. Well, okay.
But they could end up expanding it bigger, because I'm like, yeah, it is branded well enough to be a national thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, cause conference, and that I could be wrong on that, just to preface that, but I'm pretty sure I asked them recently, and yeah, last week I got to speak at it. They have an annual conference called Cause Conference here in San Diego. It's ran by Stacy, and Stacy is a freaking badass. Pulled it together so well, created such a beautiful experience for so many nonprofit leaders and local founders. And it was just a way for, apart from getting to hear from some speakers, just getting to meet the local network of people doing amazing work.
Yeah.
And they have some aspect of cause behind what they're doing. And so, yeah, it was great. It was a great experience. And I really love and respect Stacy, and she worked really hard pulling that event together, and it turned out well. It was her second year running it.
Fantastic. All right, I got to ask you a few things about your own play practices. What do you do? I'm sure you spend some time with Tyra, right? Your pooch?
Yeah, Kyra.
Sorry, Kyra. What do you do for fun? How do you keep your spirits up? And then I've also talked to you about how you run you've shared with me about your business management and leadership philosophy, and how creating a great place to work is one of your secret sauces. Tell me about how play and joy comes into your management and leadership style at both companies.
Yeah. So,
I threw a lot of stuff at you. What do you do for fun?
Okay. Yeah. Personal and business. Yeah. Personal. Yeah. I love going to parks. Love going to parks. I love going to parks with my dog. I love going to the beach with my wife. But yeah, I mean, we live like old people when I'm home, it's like, we're pretty, we love a good show, a good book, Barnes and Noble. That's about it. We went to Barnes and Noble this weekend, and we had lunch there. And, so yeah, I mean, really simple. I think fun for me now, the older I get, the busier I get, I'm like, just to chill out for a day, and whether that's to do a little weekend prep, or watch a football game, or just relax. It's the simple things in life now. I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
doing it. Um, and then I love meeting people. So I'm throughout the week from a work standpoint, I'm meeting so many people. I'm doing like 8 to 10 meetings a day. Getting to hear so many amazing stories, so many people doing great things in the world. And I spend a good chunk of my time networking to probably where I should pull it back a little bit because, um, yeah, it can get carried away because everybody that you meet wants to introduce you to somebody else.
Right.
And it's great. I mean, I'm making my rounds and meeting so many great people, and everyone's been really helpful, and hopefully vice versa. Um, but yeah, from a team and culture standpoint, like, I would say it's fun in the sense that like if you can get people bought into a vision and a mission, that they all feel really passionate about, once again, kind of sharing in like a similar interest, it becomes fun in a high intense environment. We're at the end of the day, we're a startup, we're building. It gets intense. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. And to make it fun, it's like two things. One, it's people got to enjoy where they're at, as far as what they're doing. And then the second thing is I've always left an open door for everybody on my team, kind of in a unique way. I've told people like up front, like this isn't your forever job.
Mm.
This isn't even my forever job. And while we're here together, let's give it 100% and let's grow in this experience, because this experience of working here is going to prepare you for whatever's going to come next. And I've loved living by that philosophy because it takes the pressure off
Mm.
of retention rate and all these things. And it's like, if somebody doesn't feel like they should be there anymore, set them free.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel like you're fighting for your team to stay all the time. And if you are, then you probably aren't running your team that well. So I really want, people on any of my teams to feel like they have an open door to leave at any time. And if they're here, it's because they want to be here.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like an oxymoron, but it's not. It's like that's so pure. God, and what you just said about you were speaking about a workplace, but I think it is indeed a life philosophy. We're only here for a limited time. That applies to life. Make the most of it. Same thing, right? Just like you were saying about the workplace. And I got to tell you, so now I found out when I found out where your ice cream was being delivered that we live close to each other. My husband and I, one of our favorite weekend activities is driving around to local independent bookstores. So
Mhm.
maybe me and Kirk and you and your wife will go get a coffee and go to some
Yeah.
independent bookstores that are like,
Oh, would
we have
love it.
so many good ones.
I'm shocked that we haven't ran into each other.
Oh, isn't it fun? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Just
I love that.
the
Well, I guess
smell
we
of
might have and we didn't know each other.
the smell of books.
Oh my, totally, totally. I love it. So, let's as our wrap up, what can people do? How can they sign up? How can they join? Let's give a call to action for people to join the localism movement and to participate in their local community through the tool you've created.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling it a movement. A lot of people, when they sign up on local, I shoot them a message and just welcome them onto the platform. And I'm trying to welcome the first 10,000 people on the platform and just say like, hey, thanks for joining. If I don't recognize them, like, how did you find out about local? And people more often than not have said, thank you for starting this movement. And it's cool to see people viewing it as that. It's like they can feel this like needed rebellion against you know, um, the powers that be. And so yeah, you can visit local.com. LOCL.com is our landing page website that you can learn everything about the company. And then local is also available on the App Store and Google Play. And you can just search local, LOCL, the community app, and it will pop up.
I mean, were you surprised that that was available, LOCL?
It wasn't available. It took me 6 months to negotiate
Oh,
for it. Yeah.
okay. Fantastic. Because, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those journeys to getting
Oh, it's tough.
ooh, good job. I'm glad you succeeded. Okay. Well, Bob, so we are local. So we are going to get to be together and meet in person. I know it. I'm going to get to meet more people because of you. I just know that's going to be so through my having joined local. And I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love to have you on again and tell us how it's going. You know,
Yeah.
6-8 months, whatever feels good. Let's give an update to everybody. And thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, and huge respect for stepping out there and doing this podcast. I know how hard it is to start anything and build anything. So huge respect for you for going for it, because it's powerful when you start to step out and never know what kind of conversations you're going to have or who you're going to meet. So I wish you a beautiful journey as you continue to build this.
Oh, thank you so much, Bob. I received that. Thanks everybody for being here today, bringing fun to the serious work of changing the world. And Bob, welcome to the Playful family.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening to the Playful Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review it on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you know of a leader or organization that's doing good in the world and you'd love to help us help them amplify their message, I would love to have them on the show. Go to the show notes and click there, or go to impactfulinc.com/contact. And that's impactful with 2 L's, inc.com/contact. And let us know who you're thinking about. Can't wait to see you next time.